Welcome to the Hockey Writers Prospect Corner, a show with our top prospects writing crew, bringing you the latest news, analysis, scouting reports, mocks, rankings, and much more. From the World Juniors to the NHL draft floor, from the farm to the NHL, our team covers everything that happens in the world of prospects. So sit back, grab a notebook, and get ready for Prospect Corner.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back into the Prospect Corner here at the Hockey Writers. I'm, of course, joined back in by my co-hosts, Peter Baracchini and Devin Little. How you boys doing this week? Just coming up on the U18s, just coming up next week, and the draft just getting closer and closer.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
Doing well. And Devin just said it best. Exciting times with the tournament. I know last year we were aching for the U18 tournament for quite some time. Should be a really great showing this year as well.
Yeah, the U18s was really good last year. And I mean, there was because there was not a lot of hockey going on elsewhere, it became something that was a big centralized thing. So I'm hoping this year, because there's a lot of more hockey going on, so maybe it won't be as high on people's list to watch, but it'll still be good to look at some of these draft eligibles and even guys that are coming up as well. So that'll be really good. We'll delve more into that next episode because not a lot of rosters are released yet. There's only a couple. So we'll have a bigger picture of it when the tournament gets going on the 23rd, which is what we'll be recording next. So stay tuned for that. Today we're just going to give out some end of season awards. A lot of the seasons are either done or wrapping up, and the OHL, the WHL, and the QMJHL. So basically, we're just going to be giving out some awards and recognizing some of these guys. And we're going to take the actual awards that the leagues give out and give our picks for these types of awards. So it's going to be really fun. But before we get to that, I just wanted to let you know this week's show is, of course, brought to you by the Morning Skate, a daily newsletter brought to you by the Hockey Writers into your inbox every Monday to Friday, jam-packed with the great latest hockey stuff on the planet. Daily dose of the latest news, rumors, history, funnies, quizzes, all that type of fun stuff. That's brought to you by for the Hockey Writers, the great writers there. You'll see a link in the show description. Take a look down there. Give us a like. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And, of course, check out all the other shows that are on the channel that we have here at the Hockey Writers. So definitely check all that stuff out. And so let's get going. With our first set of awards in the OHL, the Ontario Hockey League. We'll start way out east or somewhat out east. We'll start with the OHL and with the most outstanding player, which is the Red Tilson Trophy. This is, of course, given out to the best guy, most outstanding player in the league. There's a lot of a lot of guys that have won this award in the past have gone on to great NHL careers. So let's start off with this. Peter, who do you have as most outstanding player in the OHL this year?
I would say this would have to probably be the easiest choice out there. It's got to be Wyatt Johnston from the Windsor Spitfires. I mean, 123 points in 67 games, surpassed Marco Rossi's 120 in 2019-20, and just absolutely phenomenal. Like, he's been on a tear from start to finish, and looking at his production, even on the website, Pick 224 has the most even strength primary points with 66. Primary point per game is the best with 1.5, and even strength primary points per game, he's the only one above 1. I mean, just absolutely dominating. And he was drafted in the first round in last year, in 2021. Obviously, OHL was really difficult to scout because there was no season. We had a limited sample of him at the U18s, and Dallas Stars took a major swing for the fences with him. I mean, I had him as a second round pick, 61 overall on my final rankings, and Dallas took him 23rd. And that's really proven to be a really, really damn great selection at this point for Dallas. I mean, to have 100 point player in essentially his second season. I mean, he played in 2019-20 where he only had 30 points. And then obviously if he had if he played last year, this probably would have been his point production. And it's just absolutely phenomenal what he was able to accomplish. So he gets my outstanding player of the year.
Yeah, great choice. I mean, we've talked about him on the show already quite a few times. I'm pretty sure, Peter, you've given him prospect of the week a few times. Greg did. I know that for sure. So, I mean, definitely deserving of that. We'll see if he actually wins it in real life here, not in our projected stuff. But Devin, do you have a different choice, or is it Wyatt Johnston all the way?
The only other player that I would entertain for this would be Luke Evangelista with his 5 goals. Yeah, that's dominant. But it's got to be Johnston. Johnston's just on another level in that league right now. So I'm with Peter on this one. And I've just a little plug for a fellow THW writer. I've been reading a lot of David Jewell's Spitfire columns.
Yeah.
And he talks about Johnston a lot in those. So if you're wanting to read up on him, go check those out on the website.
Yes.
Yeah. He does rave about him a lot in his Spitfire's weekly column. So he's definitely deserving. He's been talked about a lot. Only other guy I would throw out for myself is Rory Cairns. Yeah. Calgary Flames draft pick, 6th round pick. And he's a 100-point guy as well. So big jump from his 30 goals to 43 this year, 59 point, 59 points to 118 points. So pretty big jump. And for 12, for a 6th round pick, that's pretty good. So I want to throw his name in there as well. So a lot of guys deserving of this award, but I'm thinking Johnston will probably win it. He's been just, like you said, Devin, at another level this year. So Johnston for sure will be in that running, and he may probably win it as well. Let's move on to the defenseman of the year, which there's quite a few candidates in this category as well. It's the Max Kaminsky Trophy. Devin, we'll go with you to start on this one. Defenseman of the year, who are you giving it to?
Well, like you said, Matt, this one's there's a number of candidates that I think you can look at and make good arguments for. And I'm going to take the cheap way out and not even actually award it. I'm just going to kind of highlight some people. Christian Kyrou has really caught my eyes. I think he plays a really solid game. Maybe would like to see him be a bit better defensively, but I think he does a lot of good things on the ice. There's Brandt Clark, top 10 pick for a reason. Looking like LA got a really good one there. I think 8th overall. Kind of can't believe he fell that far, to be honest with you. And yeah, he's done really good for Barrie this year. And then Nathan Staios, who is an overager, but if you just look at his stat line, I mean, this dude pops off the sheet. 200 shots on goal, 66 points, plus 40. Any of those three, I'm down. I think that I maybe give Staios just the slight edge just because of his crazy stat sheet. But I have all the time in the world for Brandt Clark as a close second.
Yeah, all 3 great names there. I'm taking the easy way out, throwing some 3 guys the candidates. But, well, whatever. Peter, are you picking one, or are you going to go with the group?
It really is difficult, and props to Devin for giving all the above category a shot there. I mean, it really is difficult because so many names have stood out, but I think maybe I would give my edge to Brandt Clark slightly, mainly because of the fact that he was overlooked for Team Canada. Defense came into question, and he looked to have improved in that regard this season. We knew that he was a risk taker with his speed. Skating stride wasn't that quite up there compared to other defensemen, but he's very effective in what he does. And the fact that he was able to have a really standout season, I know plus minus doesn't mean a lot, but plus 11 is still pretty good, given his skill set and his mobility and his ability to jump into the rush quite a bit. That's a style, but he's also very aggressive, very physical when he's in the corners. I think that maybe he's deserving of the award if I was to pick one alone. But yeah, the other names are just absolutely terrific.
Agreed. I had Christian Kyrou as my pick. Brandt Clark, of course. Kyrou, he's not on a good team. I mean, Erie Otters aren't very good this year. He's a +1. Yeah, you say he should be better defensively, but on a team that doesn't, he's a +1. So that's not too bad. But I mean, he's going to be like, I had him 34th on my latest rankings. So I think he's going to be an early 2nd round pick, maybe, as what he's been doing. But again, like defensively, teams are going to look at that and say, well, he still has developed there, but all defensemen have to do that to make it to the NHL. So he's gonna have to deal with that regardless. Even at the best, Brant Clark's gonna have to deal with that in the NHL, dealing with the high end players and for LA. So all great names and all deserving of that award. We'll see who actually wins it when they actually give those out. Let's move back, go closer and go to the net now. Goaltender of the year, which is the Jim Rutherford Trophy. Goaltenders are interesting, especially in these leagues where, there's a lot of scoring and, goaltending stats don't really stick out a lot as being, they don't jump off the page a lot of the time, but, who's going to win this one? Peter, who do you have as goaltender of the year?
This one really is difficult. I think it's even more difficult than the defenseman because, this league, you have a lot of great standouts. You have a lot of great players in net that have a really great save percentage, really great goals against average. But I think, just basing it off the numbers and even the play itself, I think Marco Constantini from the Hamilton Bulldogs, I think he's had a really strong season. You could even look at Roman Bassarin from the Mississauga Steelheads, really great, strong season as well, as the Steelheads were very dominant. Matt Guzza, Barry Colts, another great name, who recently signed a contract this year. So he's probably going to be heading to the NHL at some point or minor leagues. He's going to be an assistant player for sure. It really is difficult, but I think if I had to pinpoint one, it probably would be Marco, because Hamilton was just dominant from beginning to end. And, they were the top team for a reason. He was a big reason why they won 50 games, why they only allowed 174 against. So, he's probably going to be my pick.
Yeah, I see, Devin, you were nodding your head a lot there. Do you have Constantini as well? I know I have him as my top one. A lot of great names that Peter mentioned too, but you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. And I think the key stat that kind of stands out to me is, 31 wins, but that also, that's a team stat. But 6 shutouts, and the next closest is 4. Shutouts, that's a goaltending stat. That's goaltending dominance. And he's the top of it. So I'm with Constantini on this one.
Yeah, he's also got the top save percentage at 917 and the top goals against average at 2.32. So all his stats kind of align as well. The Bulldogs are a ridiculously good team too, but you need goaltending to actually stop the puck to win too as well. So definitely Constantini's the pick there, and he'll probably win it. We'll see. Let's move on to something we've been talking about a lot on this show, is the draft, the 2022 draft. And this one centers around a lot of these guys. Rookie of the year. Usually these are the guys that are going to be drafted soon. And this is the Emms Family Award. So Rookie of the Year. Devin, who's your Rookie of the Year? This is probably going to have a few different choices.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to Ty Nelson, because I think Ty Nelson has a really strong case for this award. Wouldn't be surprised if he won it. Defenseman, just solid stat sheet. And excuse me, if you hear my plead for Moritz Seider to win the Calder, it's going to be a similar case that I make for Ty Nelson. But I'm going to go with the guy whose prospect profile I actually just recently published, and that is David Goyette. 73 points in 66 games rather. Not as well-rounded as you maybe would like to see, but the dude just does things on the ice that bring you out of your seat. I think he's a very exciting player to watch. I think he's done really good things for Sudbury this season, and I don't know, in doing my profile for him, there's a lot of things about him that really popped out to me. I think that he's very much a deserving candidate for this award.
Yeah, David Goyette's my choice as well. I have, I read your profile and it's like, I don't know what the heck I was thinking, putting him so low on my rankings, and that's going to change coming up. But I had him later in the 3rd, 4th round. I would probably push him into the 2nd at this point, looking at his game now a bit more. And so, I kind of overlooked him, so he's going to change. Peter, do you have someone else, or is Goyette to your guy as well?
Yeah, it's good to be Goyette. I mean, like Devin said, he analyzed him with his profile, and a great profile is at that. Just absolutely phenomenal with what he's able to do with the puck. He's a great sleek passer, finds the seams very well, and his shot too. I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal what he's able to do, and he's got the soft hands.
Yep.
I mean, you look at like players that may have had like probably a difficult transition, especially with the last year. David Goyette is one of those players that didn't really seem to be affected by it at all with 73 points. So, he's my rookie of the year.
Yeah, I mean, this is a league that didn't play any games last year. So a lot of these guys are just jumping back in and dominating. So great job, Goyette. He's probably going to be drafted, like I said, probably second, third round. We'll see where he goes, but I'm sure he'll probably win Rookie of the Year. Again, there's a lot of good guys in this league as well, but he'll probably be there. Let's move on to the other side of it, in the Overage Player of the Year, or Overage Player of the Year. This is the Leo Lalonde Memorial Trophy. Lots of again, there's a lot of guys that are overagers here. Who would win this award, Peter? Who do you think?
I'm going with Lucas Edmonds. This is a player who has both Canadian and Swedish citizenship, played for the Mississauga Rebels in 15-16, gone over to play in Sweden, and then came back in 2021, 2022, this season, and put up 111 points in 66 games. Yeah. And we talk about, how this year was supposed to be the Shane Wright show in Kingston. And granted, he turned on the Jets late on in the season with his production, but Lucas Edmonds has been the one leading the offense for the Kingston Frontenacs this season. And, he is 21. So if that doesn't scream overage, I don't know what does, but you know what? He had a fantastic season. I mean, he was eligible to play. He did his thing, dominated the competition, and he was just absolutely phenomenal. And you know what? He's potentially up for the draft this season. So, maybe a really great pickup in the 4th round or 5th round. If the team's willing to do that, he's got some tools that can benefit a team. So we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with him. Coming from Sweden, he didn't have much in Sweden, 3 assists last season. Wasn't really expected to do much coming in here, but he's sure dominated. I mean, like you said, 111 points, and playing on a team that has Shane Wright, and he led the offense, not Wright. Yeah. So that's pretty good. Right.
And even with the J20 team, he had 51 points in 44 games. So it seems like whatever level he is at his age range, he's dominant. So something to look forward with that.
Yeah. Devin, do you have Edmonds as well, or do you have someone else to want to kind of shout out?
I do have someone else. I have somebody who I kind of plugged for potentially winning Defenseman of the Year. That is Nathan Staios. Turns 21 in a month. So right there with you on the age thing. 66 points in 59 games. That's his best season of his OHL career. Playing with a stacked team in Hamilton does need to be mentioned. But again, he's a player that has really taken his game to another level this year. And I think that deserves some recognition.
Yeah, well, I was looking at him too, and he's sure dominated on the defense, and like you talked about in the Defense of the Year category as well, and something to say about that. So he definitely would be in that discussion. So let's finish off the OHL with just a prediction of OHL champions. I mean, it's coming up the playoffs, and there's a lot of great teams in this league. I mean, yeah, there's some really great teams. So, Peter, who do you have as the OHL champion? Just looking to the future.
You don't want to just base it off points, because there could be a team that surprises everyone. Oh, yeah. I think you got to look at, obviously the Hamilton Bulldogs, how they've been dominant, who they added at the deadline. I mean, they got Mason McTavish, they got Jan Misak. I mean, we got Constantini in nets, as we talked about him before. I think you have to look at them to try and win the overall championship. But then again, you also have the Windsor Spitfires, and especially in that Eastern Conference too. North Bay, Kingston, and Mississauga. I think that's going to be very, very difficult to try and get a good grasp on, but it seems like everything's wide open this year. I mean, you have the obvious suspects, but anything can happen.
the OHL, because they didn't play last season. I mean, a lot of these teams have a lot of players that didn't play. So I mean, some of them went elsewhere, but a lot of them didn't. So it's interesting to see where all these teams have kind of jockeyed for position all year and who's dominated. But the Bulldogs are definitely it's easy to say they're probably going to win it, but I mean, you look at their record and the players that they got, and there's going to be some competition there, but I think the Bulldogs probably win it too. Devin, do you have another choice, or do you think it's probably going to be the Bulldogs? Or
I would say safe money is on Bulldogs. If I'm going to try to make a more adventurous bet, I'm going to bet on the London Knights.
Always good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of a team
never count them out.
You can never count them out. Luke Evangelista is playing out of his mind this year. They've got a good goaltender too. I think that they're a team that has enough good on their team and on their roster to where they can just kind of ride a hot streak and win a championship. Like you said, you can't count them out.
Yeah, the London Knights sure are a great team every year. It doesn't matter what players are on there. They're great at recruiting and getting guys on their team. So are not, recruiting and drafting and all that stuff. So definitely never count that team out. So that's the OHL. Let's move west to the WHL. This is in my backyard, and a lot of great players here, lots of dominating performances, and two from the same team. So let's start with the Player of the Year award. This is the Fort Broncos Memorial Trophy. Devin, we'll start with you. Player of the Year in the WHL.
I am going to go with Logan Stankoven. And the reason why is he's phenomenal. If you haven't watched him, you should. Two,
can't argue with that.
Yeah, exactly. Two, he's got a 40-point lead over his next closest teammate. He's his team's MVP, and I that's the way I look at the award. It's if a player was removed from a team, how does that team look? And if Logan Stankoven's removed from his team, things look a lot different. So it's Stankoven for me. He's been dominant this year.
Holy, yeah, Stankoven's been he's also, he was drafted a lot lower than a lot of us thought.
Way lower.
He should have been in the first round to me.
Yeah.
And he's just showing that. And again, we talked about Wyatt Johnston being a Dallas Star. This guy's a Dallas Stars prospect as well. And Dallas Stars got 2 steals. Two guys are going to be key players on their team. Peter, you got Logan or someone else?
Future note, Wyatt Johnston and Logan Stankoven on the top line is going to be really fun and dangerous. So watch out. I mean, you got to look at Archdeep Baines. I mean, just a phenomenal season, earned a contract from the hometown team. I mean, really, you really can't find another reason around that. 110 points. His career best was 51, I believe, in 2019-20, and then he just doubles that. I mean, last season was a shortened season with 23 games, but still under a point per game there, and he just absolutely dominated the competition there. But if I were to go somewhere a little bit, kind of like Devin, a little bit adventurous, and it may not seem adventurous, but Connor Bedard. I mean, at the beginning of the season, he was just around a point per game, hovering above or just around there. And everyone is saying, where was the dominant production that we saw last season where he's closing in on 2 points per game in the shortened season? Well, the Regina Pats really weren't that strong of a team. But then again, Bedard, kind of like Shane Wright, turned it up in the second half, and he finished in the top 5 with 93 points. So exceptional stats for a reason, kind of thing.
I'll say, 93 points when, like you say, he didn't start off as good as everyone thought he should have.
It was good.
It was good.
Great.
It was good. It wasn't great, but generational talent and all that. Everyone thinks that he should be dominating all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's showing that he's doing it anyway. So, great names there. I don't disagree with any of them. Archdeep Baines is Vancouver Canuck now, and I'm excited to see what he can do. Every time I talk about him, he's like, "Oh, he's 21. He's playing against 18-year-olds. Of course they dominate." I'm like, yeah, come on. Give him some credit.
Whatever credit's due. Simple as that.
He's putting up a ton of points. Yes, he's older. Yes, he's stronger than a lot of the guys he's playing against, but that doesn't mean he's less talented. So, I mean, well, we're going to see what he can do in the future. I mean, he may not be, he probably won't be a top line player in the NHL. I mean, but he may be a good bottom six guy, pot 15, 20 goals, which is great for an undrafted guy. I mean, so Ben King, I want to throw Ben King's name in there as well.
Yeah.
Overager, a guy that's probably going to get drafted this year. I wasn't aware. I was looking at I thought he can't be drafted this year, but he has one more year. So, I mean, he can be drafted. This is his final year. So we'll see. I'm sure someone will take a flyer on him now. Devin, do you have something to say there?
Well, I was just going to say that there's plenty of overage players in the same situation that don't shine in the same way. So,
exactly.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what he's doing is amazing, and definitely have props to that. And he'll be in the conversation player of the year. That's for sure. Let's move on to the WHL Top Defenseman Award. This is the Bill Hunter Memorial Trophy. I'm sure we have a name. This guy, I'm sure is going to be a consensus pick. I mean, there are some other guys, but this guy, Peter, is this the guy that I'm thinking you're going to say?
Well, if it's Olen Zellweger, then yeah, you are absolutely correct. I mean, this is, ever since, the second half of last season when the WHL started playing and the U18 tournament, he's just been absolutely lights out. And, big shout out. He did suffer a scary injury, and I'm glad that everything is okay, that he was, the news is positive, and that's the main important thing. I just want to get that out there. Yes. But also 78 points in 55 games, just absolutely dominant. His mobility, his movement is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I compared him to Sam Girard, but he's going to probably put up more points than Sam Girard at some point. And once again, I keep on saying that the Ducks got a steal. Well, not necessarily a steal, but they did their drafting wise because he could have moved up as a second rounder, and he did. And good on them in their scouting department for picking Zellweger at that spot.
Yeah, Zellweger was a part of our talk of a lot coming up to that draft, and we had him raising up the rankings a few times as we got to our final set. So, the Ducks picked him where he should have gone. I mean, there was a lot of rankings that had him lower down, but he's sure showing it. I mean, 78 points, like you said, he's just dominating the WHL. And the Ducks, they have some great defensemen on their blue line already with Jamie Drysdale, and he's just going to add to that. So look out for the Ducks in the future on the back end. Devin, I'm sure you're going to agree with this one, but you have someone else.
I don't. I just want to say that in the near future, the Ducks are going to have Olen Zellweger, Jamie Drysdale, Trevor Zegras, Troy Terry, Mason McTavish, and others.
Oh, God.
Talking about the Dallas Stars looking scary pretty soon. The Anaheim Ducks are going to look really scary really soon.
Yeah, and they added some more picks with trading a few guys. So they're going to have some more guys this draft. So, I mean, look up for the Ducks. Unfortunately, they're in the Canucks division. So, so just add more talent to this division, and we'll see. I'm hoping the division actually becomes as competitive as it used to be, which is great hockey, and stop being talked about as the weakest division in hockey and be the strongest.
I was just going to say that division is not going to be the weakest for much longer.
Yeah, lots of great teams, lots of great young talent coming up in the pipeline. Speaking of young talent, let's keep going with this. So the Rookie of the Year award, again, this is talking about a lot of the draft eligibles, and there's lots of great picks here. The Jim Piggott Memorial Trophy, this is Rookie of the Year. Devin, who is your Rookie of the Year in the WHL?
A guy who is currently projected to be somewhere in the top 5 of this year's draft. That would be Matthew Sfoy. Dude's just electric. I'm looking forward to the next couple of months of this show because I'm going to have more opportunities to talk about this guy. Dude's just been a standout. There's a reason why he's ranked as high as he is in this year's draft class. And without going on too long, whoever does end up picking him is going to get one heck of a player.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote his profile and seeing a lot of the video, and it's like he can do it all. I mean, the guy's not afraid to go to the net. He's not afraid of the dirty areas, even though he's undersized by standards of, whoever sets those standards. I don't think you should be looking at that anymore, but we've said that in the past. What he's done in the WHL this year has just been amazing. Peter, do you have Matthew Savoy, or you want to say call someone else out here?
I'm gonna go with somebody else for my rookie of the year. Obviously, I want to say Savoy, but I'm gonna tip the scales. I want to say something different. I'm gonna say Kevin Krasinski. I mean,
I knew
we've
it.
talked. Yeah, 2 for 2. 2 for 2. He's another player just shooting up the draft boards right now. I had him at the beginning. He was on my radar, didn't make my top 32. It was going to be in my top 64, and now he's in my first round, and he's probably going to move up even more, probably into that top 15, top 20 range. He's absolutely phenomenal with his composure, his mobility on the back end, his smarts. And even at the CHL Top Prospects game, he was the one defender that always stood out every single shift, every single time I was watching him. And also, everyone's going to look at, he only has 4 goals. Well, guess what? He has 61 assists.
Yeah.
He can distribute the puck really, really well. So, he needs to shoot the puck a bit more, but his passing is absolutely phenomenal, especially on the breakouts and in transition. So, I want to say Savoy, but I'm just going to switch it up and say Kevin Krasinski because I like him.
He's not necessarily the type of defenseman that you're looking at to score 20, 30 goals. He's definitely more of a puck distributor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we're on the same page, Peter. I had Korchinski. I was this close to picking Savoy, but I went with Korchinski just because he's a defenseman doing all this at 60 something points. And, FC Hockey had him at 7th overall in their latest rankings, which is a little bit high for me, but you can't deny what he's been doing in the WHL with a lot of great defensemen. I say, we'll get to the top defenseman or in the next, we had the top defenseman where we talked about Nolan Zellweger, but there's a lot of guys in this, in this draft. We've talked about him. Denton Matejchuk is another guy that, so I mean, there's a lot of great defensemen in this WHL class. So I mean, rookie of the year, Savoy, Korchinski, and we'll see who actually wins it. It'll probably be Savoy in the end of what, votes usually go to the top more offensive forwards in this. So they'll probably win that, but Korchinski is definitely up there. Let's move on to the goaltender of the year. And there's a few picks in this one. Sebastian Cossa should have been, looking at his pedigree and where he was drafted, he probably should have been at the top of this list, but he's probably not right now. So Peter, who is a goaltender or top goaltender? It's the Del Wilson Memorial Trophy.
It's got to be Dylan Garand for me. I really liked him, especially in his draft year. I thought he had a really great composure, really great confidence in the crease, great lateral movement, doesn't give up a whole lot of rebounds. And when he does, he doesn't panic. He tracks a puck extremely well. And obviously 2nd in goals against average and 2nd in save percentage, 2nd in wins, and not necessarily leading the charge in the shutouts, but still phenomenal track record of what he was able to accomplish. He finished 8 in that department with 4, but at the same time, the fact that he was in the top 2 in the goalie categories, I think he's my goaltender of the year.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Devin, do you have someone else on your radar as goaltender of the year? I mean, I'm sure you probably wanted it to be Sebastian Cossa, but
you can still say it. It's okay.
You can still say it, but
say it, I'd be wrong, but I can say it. No, I agree with literally everything that both of you said, leading up to me saying this. I agree that Cossa should have probably been at the top of this category. He's not. And I agree with Peter. It's Dylan Garand. And I look at just the fact that he was Team Canada's starter for their brief time in the World Juniors. He's had a really good season outside of that tournament too. I don't know what else to add on to it. He's just had a really good season. He's the best goaltender in the WHL this year.
Shout out to Taylor Gauthier, though.
Oh, yes. I was about to say Taylor Gauthier is shout out him too. But I mean, Garand is a great pick. Taylor Gauthier is on Portland Winterhawks, who's not as strong of a team as the Kamloops Blazers. He's just a little bit in save percentage. It's 928 compared to Garant's 924. So I mean, Garant's got a way better goals against average of 2.17 though. So also shout out to Daniel Hauser, the Winnipeg Ice, but he's got a ridiculously good team. They only have lost 10 games all season. So this is a reflection of the team he's on. But again, he leads goals against average and is third in save percentage and most wins. But I mean, he's on a great team. But great picks all around. And Costa's a little bit further down. He's also on a great team, but he's not the one carrying the team. You know, there's a lot of other guys there. So yeah, lots of great names, and we'll see who wins that in the end. We just mentioned the Winnipeg Ice. I mean, who's going to be the WHL champion here? There's a lot of great teams. Edmonton Oil Kings, the Winnipeg Ice, Kamloops Blazers. I mean, it's going to be a dogfight in this one.
Yeah.
Devin, who do you have as a WHL champion? This is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it is going to be tough. And, you know, I just said how much I love Matt Savoy, and I got plenty of talent on that Winnipeg Ice team. I could easily see them going all the way. But I didn't have faith in Costa for goaltender of the year, so I'm going to have faith in him to be a goalie on a playoff run here. I'm going to go with the Edmonton Oil Kings. Costa is a good goalie. That's, you know, he's not goaltender of the year, but he's still a good goalie.
Oh, yes.
Plenty of talent on that team. Dylan Genther, Caden Gooley. That team has enough talent to go all the way. And all it will take is for everybody on that team to be playing their best. Like I said, there's enough talent on there to be the best. So I'm just going to kind of put my, I don't know the phrase right now, but I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. So go Oil Kings.
That's a great choice there. I mean, yeah, they've got so much talent on that team. Peter, who do you have as a WHL champion?
And Devin, you forgot Jake Neighbors.
Justin
Sordiff, Luke Prokop. They added a lot of great talent for that deep playoff run. So yeah, obviously you would want them to be the favorites, but you also, again, Winnipeg Ice, Everett Silvertips.
Silvertips, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, especially in the Western Conference, that is going to be really interesting to see how things play out because all five teams have over 40 wins. Everett, Portland, Kamloops, Seattle, and Kelowna. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. This really is more difficult than even the OHL standings at this point because there's so many teams that definitely rightfully deserve to be there. But yeah, the hope is that Sebastian Costa does turn on the Jets and find his game in the playoffs because they got the strong defense, they got the offense. If he's able to find some consistency, great. But you know, too many other names on that you need to keep an eye out because even on Everett, obviously we talked about Zellweger. They got Braden Holt in net. A lot of great names. It really is difficult to predict, especially in this situation right now.
Yeah, the Western Conference still has 3 playoff spots to grab too. So I mean, a lot of the teams aren't very good, but you never know. I mean,
the ones that are.
But the one thing though, these 3 teams that are going to make it, they've been playing playoff hockey for a long time now. So you never know. Upset could be happening. These teams aren't. We never know what happens in the playoffs as we've seen in the past. So see what happens there. So reset the show before we go on to the QMJHL and our final topics of the show. This is, of course, the Prospect Corner presented by the Hockey Writers. I'm here with Devin and Peter. I have my name twice in our outline here. Before we get back to it, I shout out the Morning Skate again. It's a great newsletter. It comes to you every day of the week, Monday to Friday, jam-packed with all the great hockey stuff on the planet. Lots of great quizzes, lots of just fun news and fun stuff that you can't get on the website. So definitely check out morningskate.io. Of course, there's a link in the description below. And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel and give us a like on this video and check out all the other YouTube shows we have on the Hockey Writers Network on YouTube. Let's move on to the QMJHL, our final league and the most offensive league in the CHL. Lots of points, not a lot of defense. We'll talk a little bit about that. Let's start with the first award, the Telus Cup, which is for the offensive player of the year. They split this into 2 for some reason. So let's start with the offensive player of the year. Devin, who do you have from the QMJHL here?
Well, we talked about him quite a bit 3 or 4 weeks ago when we had Hadi on. It's got to be Joshua Waugh for me. Montreal Canadiens prospect, 106 points in 59 games, took his game to another level and then another level beyond that this year. 5th round pick last year, looking like an absolute robbery of a draft pick. Dude's just been lightning in a bottle this year, so it's got to be him.
Peter, you have Joshua Waugh, or are you picking someone else?
I do, and it's still going to be Joshua Waugh.
Yes.
That's it. That's it.
Is that what Devin said? Yeah. I agree. I agree totally. William Dufour gets a little bit of love here too. Mm-hmm. He leads and again, 5th round pick of the Islanders, I believe. I have in my notes here, 152nd overall to the Islanders. So, I mean, another late round pick that's dominating the queue. And so I just want to throw his name as well. But Joshua Waugh is he's just been phenomenal. And he's going to be a key part of that Montreal Canadiens team moving forward on a team that needs a lot of talent, not a young talent to be injected. So hopefully he's going to be part of that. There's a lot of guys coming up too. Let's move on to this is an interesting category, a defensive player of the year in a league that does not love the defense. But I mean, this is where these guys shine maybe a bit more. I mean, when you're looking at it, Devin, we'll start with you. We started with you last time. Peter, defensive player of the year. I mean, this is an interesting award, but who do you give it to?
Yeah. I hate to use plus minus as a stat to judge my opinion on this, but we don't have the numbers underlying numbers for like defensive metrics and stuff like that. But I've always been a big fan of Lucas Cormier. I mean, offensive game, but still has that two-way ability to play a strong game as well. We saw that a bit with Team Canada or throughout the season as well, even during the short stint at the World Juniors. Hopefully he's going to be able to return there because I really liked what I saw early on from his play. Again, he's active, but he also has a smart to know when to back off and come back on the back check and be a presence in his own zone. So I'm going to give that to Cormier.
Cormier is a great pick. I had him as I believe I wrote his profile. I'm not sure, but back in 2020, or 2021. When was he drafted? Well, whatever he was, I'm pretty sure
2020.
Yeah, 2020. So. He was a pick of mine to be a part. The Canucks should have picked him. I think they could have picked him. So, I mean, Lucas Cormier he's done a great job in the queue as, plus minus, whatever, take as what you will. But he's still got a great plus minus in the league that doesn't love the defense. So, Devin, who do you have as defensive player of the year?
I don't have anyone different. It's Lucas
Cormier.
Else.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, I look forward to seeing who the Vegas Golden Knights trade him for.
Yes, they seem to trade a lot of their prospects away for quick fixes that they think is quick fixes and high-end money that apparently go under the salary cap for some reason, even though the numbers don't support it. But yeah, that's a discussion for another show. Let's move on to the MVP. This is the Michel-Briere Trophy, and of course, most valuable player in this league, and player of the year, whatever you want to call it. This is the MVP. Devin, who do you have as an MVP in the QMJHL?
Well, last time you started with me, I said it was Joshua. Next time, it's him again. Yep. And it's literally because not only is he a leading scorer, I think he is the leading scorer, as a matter of fact, in the queue. But he, like I said, he took his game to another level. Like this wasn't something that we saw last year. This is a whole different player, and he's dragged his team along with him with his elevated play. Yeah, there you go. More to say. What's more to say? Simple as that.
Peter, you got Waugh as well, or you have someone else?
Next question.
Next question. Again, I throw out Dufour's name as well in here too. He's a point back. Joshua Waugh leads the queue and scoring at 106 points. Dufour's 1 point back at 105. So they're going to be dueling it out, I think. But yeah, Raw's just been amazing, like we've said. So let's move on. Defenseman of the year. This is the Emile-Bouchard Trophy. And again, this is, you probably have picked the guy that has the most points. But Peter, who do you have as Defenseman of the year?
Again, it's tough with the Q because it's all offense and no defense. I mean, I hate to default, you're going to give it to Michel-Briere for 73 points in 57 games, right? Or right behind that, Lucas Cormier. It's tough. It really is. I mean, there's obviously any defensive to stage, you always got to work on defense, whether you're in the Q, W, OHL, whatever. But to have a defenseman of the year, if we're going by points solely, then Tourney and Cormier is probably going to be up there. But other than that, I don't see any other option.
Well, I mean, the NHL gives a Norris to the most of the time. It's the best offensive defenseman, even though they may not be the best defensively. They don't look at that. So you got to look at that same thing. I mean, Tournier has got 73 points. He's plus 24, and Cormier's as plus 31 with 68 points. So I mean, that's just, they're probably going to be 1-2 in that voting. Devin, you have someone different, or you just been probably those two as well?
Well, first and foremost, don't bring up that Norris conversation, Matt, because I won't shut up for like 5 minutes straight. But
it's a big debate. That's
yes, sure. Absolutely. I'm gonna go with Cormier. The plus minus, plus he has +7 better than Tourney. And then also points per game. Cormier has a better mark by 0.002. So it's a very minuscule amount, but it is higher. So I'm going to go with Cormier by just a sliver.
Yeah, we're splitting hairs here. So.
Yeah, literally.
I want to throw this out that the QMJHL does have a defenseman of the year award as well. What a concept for a league that loves offense. But so that's that. I was going to throw that in here, but since we already had defensive player of the year, it's kind of, but I just want to throw that out there. They do have one, and I think the NHL should have one as well. Split the 2.5, and that's again another debate for another show. So let's move on to the rookie of the year, which is the RDS Cup. And I mean, there's a lot of great choices. Again, draft eligibles most likely. Devin, who's a rookie of the year in this league here?
Oh, I gotta pull up my my old stuff here. My rookie of the year is going to be Jordan Dumas. He's French. I'm not good at this. 88 points in 62 games as a 17-year-old. It's crazy to me.
Shoot.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna dig in too much deeper than that. 88 points in 62 games. That's crazy. That's good. Even in a league that like prioritizes
that loves offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Peter, who do you have as your rookie of the year?
He may not get a lot of attention, but I really like David Spacek. Drafted in the second round from the CHL Important Draft in 2021. Maybe a late round pick, maybe 5th or 6th in the NHL draft coming up, but I really like his defensive style. He put up the points. He has the ability to do so. Great two-way game. Obviously needs to refine some aspects, but I really liked what I saw from him. And obviously, you can't go against what against Devin's pick, but David Spacek, I think, really stood out for me this year.
Yeah, again, that defenseman, and defensemen don't normally win these types of awards, and it's unfortunate. I mean, even in the NHL, the Calder, you have to be really exceptional to win it, and we have one that's really exceptional. That's probably going to win it. But again, watch the grind line for that. Dumas and Spacek are great picks for this award. I mean, they're both phenomenal. They've been great this season. Dumas said, like you said, 88 points is amazing for the age he's at. So to dominate this league at that age. So those are great picks. I can't disagree with any of them. I was thinking about Dumas as well. So not much more to say about him. Let's talk about the QMJHL champion. Who's going to win this one? I mean, this one's an interesting one. There's a lot of dominant teams, a lot of dominant players for these teams that are in the top end of these stats. So Devin, who do you have as the QMJHL champion?
This is the one where I'm going to just kind of cheap out and just kind of pick the team with the best record right now. That's me, the Quebec Ramparts. And the thing is that it's not like they're the best team by like a sliver. They're the best team by like 4 regulation wins, 91 points. Next closest is 87. 9-1-0 in their past 10. Team's just been dominant, over 100 goal differential. I'd have to like really do a deep dive to come up with a good argument for another team. It's Quebec.
Yeah, that's a great choice. I want to say the Sherbrooke Phoenix, because they got 2 of the top point getters in the league right now. And so, I mean, that's, Joshua Waugh, like we talked about, and Xavier Parent, they're 1-3 in scoring. So, I mean, you can't deny them. They're first in their conference. So I'm going to go with the Phoenix as winning the QMJHL championship there. Peter, who do you have?
I keep going to the Charlottetown Islanders, and it's not just because Lucas Cormier is on there, but I really like what they've done this season. I mean, my computer is a little bit slow. The Ramparts have, a 5-point win advantage, but they're only separated by the Islanders by 4 points overall in the standings. So I think it's going to come down to those two. And I think maybe I would give the edge to the Islanders. I don't know. I don't have any reason to support that argument, kind of like Devin. I don't know. I just have a good feeling about the Islanders this year.
Yeah. Like you say, playoffs, when they start, clean slate. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter what you did in the regular season. It's what you do now. So we'll see what happens there. We'll come back to this and see who, if we were right on any of these awards and the winners here. So that'd be fun. So let's wrap that up, and let's do a segment I hope to have every week now. Is instead of a rapid fire, let's do an end of the show question of the week. So this, just could be a fun question. It could be just analytic, whatever. This will be a great question. So this one is connected to the awards, but this is something we're going to create on the show in Prospect Corner, is the NHL Prospect of the Year award. First, I was going to say for the entire NHL, but that's a little crazy. So we're going to break it to our teams that we cover. So starting with Peter, we'll start with you, the Toronto Maple Leafs. If you could give a Prospect of the Year award to any of their prospects this year, who would you give it to?
Oh, this is going to kill me. It's obviously coming down to Topi Niemela and Matthew Knies. I mean, Niemela had a very strong season. He was on the verge of like matching or surpassing a point total for defenseman in only, basically his second season. He played 15 games last year with 4 assists in that span, but he was off to a torrid start, kind of slowed down. But you know what? He was still looking to be a very dominant player, and he was. Finishing the season with 32 points in 48 games, has an assist in 6 playoff games. But at the same time, you can't deny what Matthew Knies did en route to the Frozen Four, scoring the game-tying goal, scoring the goal in the Frozen Four, but ultimately losing. He was just absolutely dominant. I hate to pick one or the other, but I'm probably going to have to give the slight edge to Matthew Knies. I mean, for a freshman in college to do what he did, I mean, I absolutely love what Niemela did. He's going to be a top 4 defender for the Leafs. And I wish I could split the vote. I could split myself in 2 and say one Knies, one Niemela, but I can't. And I'm just going to give it that slight edge to Knies. And that's basically because of the impact coming up clutch in the Frozen Four.
Yeah, he was pretty great there. So, I mean, that's not a bad pick. I mean, Knies is going to be great for the Maple Leafs in the future. And too bad he's not coming now. He wants to go back to college, and that's entirely great for him. And he wants to win a championship. So, he wants to win, and that's great to have. So we'll see what happens next year, and he'll be in the Maple Leafs roster soon enough. They don't need him. I mean, they've got enough right now. Devin, who's a NHL Prospect of the Year award for the Detroit Red Wings?
Well, it comes down to two guys for me, and they're both Swedish. Haha, go figure. I
think I have an idea.
Ooh, and I'm kind of like Peter here, where like I kind of wish I could split myself in half and say them both. Because the two guys I'm kind of torn between are Elmer Soderblom with his 21 goals in the SHL, 5 goals in 5 games in the playoffs right now. Dude's just on a tear. And dude's a monster. We've talked about him a couple of times over the last few weeks.
Yes.
And then the other one would be Jonathan Berggren, who is having a very successful season in the AHL with 54 points in 64 games. They're both going to make a difference at some point in the NHL. I feel pretty good about that. I'm going to give it slightly to Berggren only because he's in the AHL. So, he's a call up away from the NHL. And I think that when he does make the Red Wings roster, he's going to actually make a difference right away. I think Soderblom might take some time in the AHL next year. But it's really close. They've both been really impressive in their respective leagues this year.
I'll say, I mean, we've talked about him in the Red Wings episode for here, and talked about him with Alexa as well. I mean, I mean, you can't go wrong with either of those picks for Prospect of the Year for sure.
I would like to change my vote to Nimella and then go back to Knies and then back to Nimella and then back to Knies.
Yeah, there you go. For me, for the Canucks, I mean, the Canucks don't have as strong of a prospect pool as the Red Wings do. They did have some great performances this year. I'm between two as well. Aiden McDonough for the Northeastern, and Linus Karlsson in Europe. I mean, yes, he's older, but he's still a prospect according to the rules, because he's not yet 25 or he hasn't played enough NHL games. So he's still a prospect, and he just broke Elias Pettersson's rookie record in that league. So, and Aiden McDonough, what do you say about him? He is clutch for Northeastern all season long, and almost got them to a point to get into that championship. They did win the regular season championship because of his production and his goals. So he was an MVP for them. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a tough one as well. I'm going to go with McDonough just because he's of the younger side, and he was playing in a league that is around his age range. So dominating that league is pretty big. So I'm going to go with Aiden McDonough, but Karlsson's close second. I love what McDonough's done. Again, a guy that's going back to college. He wants to win, and Northeastern's got a pretty strong team with Devin Levi coming back as well in goal, and he was dominant this year. So I'm going to go with Aiden McDonough as a prospect of the year for the Canucks, and a pool that doesn't have a lot of them, but they did have some guys that did perform pretty great this year, and hopefully there's going to be more coming for a first round pick this year, and they will not trade it away. I'm going to say that right now. So that was a fun discussion there, just to end that, and hope we'll have a question of the week every week instead of that rapid fire thing. Just kind of a fun question. We may have a rapid fire as well, but this is a fun end of show question before we do the prospects of the week, which we'll do right now. Prospects of the week, and Peter, we'll start with you. Who is your prospect of the week this week?
We probably talked about him quite a bit. It doesn't feel right to not, give one more final shout out of what he was able to accomplish this season. I'm going to go with Luke Evangelista. Just his goal scoring dominance. He's known as a playmaker, but man, can he rip the puck? And that really shined this season. I believe he tied Nick Robertson's mark of goals back in 2019-20 before the season shut because of COVID-19 with his 55. So, chances are Nick Robertson's goal total probably would have been higher, but if, what Evangelista was able to accomplish, he probably would have surpassed that or even matched that as well, regardless, if he continued the development that he's on. And again, just the skill set that he has, the shot, the hands, the dominance, the deceptiveness that he has. It really is phenomenal what he was able to accomplish this season. So I'm going to give one final shout out for the regular season, that is, to Luke Evangelista.
There you go. He may get some from the playoffs.
You never know.
So we'll see if he gets shout outs there. Devin, who's your prospect of the week?
I'm going to let longtime viewers and listeners pretend for a little bit that I am Greg Boyson, and I'm going to say that my prospect of the week is Lucas Reichel, who recently the first year of his contract is now officially in play. The slide is not in effect. He has played in 9 games with the Chicago Blackhawks so far, no points, -7. So, the stat sheet doesn't exactly jump out at you. But his stat sheet in the AHL this year definitely does. 49 points in 49 games. Not too shabby.
Not too bad.
Yeah, that is a player that, just based on their moves at the trade deadline and, what their GM has said, seems like Chicago is actually going to embrace an actual rebuild now.
Yeah. And
Reichel is a player that they can build around. And it's a good thing that they have him. I don't know that he's going to be, top of the NHL type of player, but I do think he's going to be a really solid player for them. And I think that he's showing that this year in the AHL. And even though the production hasn't been there in the NHL so far, I think he's looked promising. So for all you Blackhawk fans out there, sorry, I'm not Greg, but you can still enjoy Lucas Reichel.
This is another team that needs as many skilled prospects as they can get, as Greg has talked about many times on Blackhawks Banter and on this show. So they have a first round pick though this year now, and that's what he wanted. So I'm sure he's really happy about that. Shout out to Greg. My prospect of the week is someone that our editor-in-chief talked about. He messaged me the other day. Why is anyone talking about this guy? Peterborough Pete's Emile-Bouchard. He has jumped off the page. I'm not sure why. We haven't talked about him on the show yet. He's an undrafted prospect. He could be signed by an NHL team. I'm sure someone will look at him because what he's done this year is 28 goals, 82 points. In only 64 games. He's been really good for the Peterborough Petes on a team that, admittedly has not been very good this year. And, they traded away Jake Neighbors. So they kind of got lower down when they traded away him. But they still got Emile-Bouchard, he's done a ton of stuff. This is a few numbers just to throw out here. He's got a career high 28 goals, career high 54 assists. These are all career highs, 82 points, 7 power play goals, and 4 shorthanded goals. This is all career highs. Brian doing this, 3 game winners. He's ranked 9th in the NHL and OHL in assists. He leads the team in points and goals, in the points and assists. He also holds the longest point streak in modern Pete's history at 21 games. Those stats look pretty good. So just want to shout him out, and hopefully an NHL team looks at that stat line, his play this year. Watching highlights, he's been absolutely dominant for that team. Lots of been on the highlight reel a lot, using his speed, his skill, his hands, driving the net on a few highlights that I've seen. And that's on us for not looking at. There's so many prospects, it's so many performances and we haven't mentioned him, but I'm mentioning him now. And shout out to Dean, our editor-in-chief, for throwing his name in here, and just want to shout him out, Emile-Bouchard for the Peterborough Petes. Oh, that's our show. Another show in the books, and as the draft gets closer, we're going to have a lot more guests. Peter tweeted out the other day, we're going to have Will Scouch from Scouching on the show, not next week, but the week after that, April 30, or would it be May 1st when the show comes out? I don't think there's 31 days in April. No, so it'll be May 1st. So the first day of May, you'll be able to watch the show, and the founder of Scouching will be on it. So he's great. Have you seen his videos? And Scouting Live, all that stuff he does, breaking down the prospects of the draft and the NHL prospects. He does a phenomenal job. So we'll have tons to talk to him about. He also writes for McKean's as well. So looking forward to that. That show is going to be amazing. Get his insight on the draft and prospects in general. So we'll have a lot to talk about. So just before we end here, I want to thank Peter and Devin for again another great prospects talk. And again, like this video, subscribe on YouTube, and of course check out the Morning Skate newsletter. Great content there from the hockey writers, and of course check out all the content on the hockeywriters.com. We got profiles, we got tons of profiles already out, lots more coming, features, stuff on the U18s coming, lots of great content, and the playoffs are right around the corner with a lot of rookies and stuff to go on there. So looking forward to it, and look forward to another Prospect Corner next week. We'll see you then.